Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
Because of the current administration's complete abandonment of enforcing the laws that were passed by the United States Congress concerning immigration, there is an unprecedented increase in the number of people coming across the border.
Yeah, no question about that. That was Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And here to talk about the border crisis, immigration attorney Naim Haroon Sakhia, who provided great insight the last time he joined us. Naim, thank you for taking the time with us. At this point,
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you take a look at next steps, and there are words out there that, perhaps the Biden administration is going to push the rumored amnesty plan. What do you think that impact would be, if anything, on what we've seen to date?
Well, let me start by saying this first. The politicians tend to exaggerate one way or the other the crisis depending on how they perceive it. We saw a news item on CNN last week that according to Department of Homeland Security, they arrested 1 million migrants who have illegally been crossing the border, U.S.-Mexico, since last October. The emphasis on the word arrested. It's not a completely open border. People are getting arrested and sent back. So it's an exaggeration or a false light. However, there is a problem that needs to be tackled, and the immigration is a multifaceted problem. One piece is the border. The other piece is people who are already within the United States, and they have been languishing for many, many years for various reasons. Without going into all those reasons, there is a problem inside the border, and also there is a problem on the border and then outside the border. We have to tackle them all at once and have to tackle them in such a way that it basically protects our national interest. So emphasizing one aspect at the expense of ignoring the other, I think it is disingenuous. To answer your question, what will happen to this crisis if there is an amnesty announced within those reconciliation bills or budget bills? I think we have to look at the language of the provisions which are going to be inserted before we start jumping on it. And if we find something which we feel will directly impact or worsen the border crisis, definitely it has to be opposed. But not necessarily that we should ignore the problem which is within the United States just because it will send a message which perhaps will invite those people who are coming in or trying to come in anyway, and Department of Homeland Security is able to arrest and send them back.
Seems as though there's been plenty of evidence right down to, at various points, a bunch of people approaching the southern border wearing Biden shirts. So there is an expectation that if they get here, there's going to be amnesty. How much of that is playing into the surge at our southern border that we've seen?
Well, this kind of messaging does go out, and it gets amplified by the people who are opposed to amnesty. Usually the amnesty has language or requirements which require these people who have been in the U.S. for a certain period of time and have done certain things in order to actually earn that amnesty, even if you want to call it an amnesty. So we have to make sure that everybody is sending a message that just because we are trying to tackle the problem within our border does not mean that it's an open invitation to people to just try to barge in. And secondly, we should emphasize that U.S. Department of Homeland Security is doing a great job in intervening those, intercepting those, and sending those back. So just like it has to be a multifaceted problem, requires multifaceted messaging, and also those messages should be sent loud and clear across the border and inside the border both.
Do you have any basis for knowing why it is that some that are detained at the southern border are being housed and then ultimately shipped to other locations across the country?
I believe the people who have gone through what they call credible fear interview through the Department of Homeland Security officers are transformed to the next step where they get an opportunity to present their case to the immigration judge. And some of those people have been allowed in. I've seen reports, but it looks like this reporting, which happens, always has some kind of agenda, either opposing or favoring these kind of immigration steps. But I have to go by what Department of Homeland Security officials have said last week, where they said they have arrested and deported more than 1 million people who tried to illegally cross the border. Now, those people who have passed a credible fear interview, under the international law, we are required to give them an opportunity to present their case. And on that front, I think we need to do better job of monitoring those people to make sure that they do appear in the court. And if they don't, and they miss their chance or they miss their opportunity to present their case, they are dealt with according to the law.
Most recently, for those particular hearings, I was reading where many people are not even being issued court dates. They're being handed paperwork that suggests that there's a court date to be determined, and then otherwise they're just kind of sent back out into the country to do whatever it is that comes next. Are you running into that?
Well, we have seen reports of those. I've not personally myself run into any of these people, but if those reports are to be believed, then they definitely are a cause of concern, and that should not happen.
All right, continue to follow what's going on at the border. Thank you very much for your insight. It's appreciated.
Thank you.